Hello, welcome to a Slipknot special. It's a bank holiday Slipknot special. All of this will, of course, be rendered meaningless to anybody listening to this in the future. I mean, just imagine, here we are, 2022, and somebody's going, well, it's not a bank holiday, and it's hardly a Slipknot special. This song is 2 years old. But right now, dear internet listener, the song is relatively new. It is Unsainted. Hello, welcome to a Talking Bollocks special. I am your host and Master of Ceremonies. My name is Howard H. Smith. I am the lead singer of UK thrash band Acid Reign. New album coming before the end of this year. First album 29 years. I also do stand-up comedy as Keith Platt, professional Yorkshireman. You can find me at keithplatt.co.uk. Does anybody bother with websites anymore? Or you can find me on social media. You can find Talking Bollocks on social media, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. And you can find Acid Reign at acidrain.co.uk. Does anybody really use websites anymore? Or you can find Acid Reign on Bandcamp. You can find on all social media. So there you go. That's all I have got to say on those particular subjects. So, welcome one and all. This is basically, we're taking on Unsainted by Slipknot. New song, first album in 5 years, which, as you'll hear in one of the many interviews that are to come up, surprised me. I didn't realise it was 5 years since the Grey Chapter. Really? 5 fucking years! Honestly, I still refer to it as the new album. What the hell is wrong with me? So, the idea was just to get a load of people's opinion on the new Slipknot song, because they're just about the biggest thing out there in metal. And, you know, without wanting to sound like I'm in Manowar, but true metal. Do you know what I mean? In other words, basically, not Avenged Sevenfold, which is mole rap music, not Five Finger Death Punch, which is knuckle-dragging fuckhead music. Sorry, but it is. Not Bring Me Here the Horizon, because they're a pop band now. Not Bullet for My Valentine, because they're neither pop nor rock nor metal. Don't know what they are anymore. These are the boys. These are, for me, the people that are carrying the flag of thrash forward, if you want. I mean, we're talking here, and this will come up in one of the interviews, we're talking about a band that went viral, that went straight to number one, and it has blast beats in. I mean, come on, this is the closest thing. Any of you out there listening to this, who still labour under the illusion that Slipknot are new metal just because they came out in 1999, you need to think again. They have riffs, which means they're not new metal, okay? Pretty much done and dusted, cut and dried. You know, and as he gets a mention, but as for the guy who reckoned they were a manufactured band, that's just hilarious. I mean, absolutely, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Manufactured. Awesome. So anyway, yeah, like 9 people jumping up and down making it a right fucking racket was the way to get platinum selling albums. No, not at all. So for me, Slipknot are kind of like the standard bearers. They're kind of like the I don't know, the biggest new school thrash band there is. Fuck me, did I say that? Have I come up with that theory all on my own? I guess I have, but maybe other people out there were thinking the same thing. Who knows? So, anyway, without further ado, let's get on to the first interview, will you? Will you? Will I? Shall we? Shall I? Yes, let's. This is Gareth Ruddock. Gareth works for Metal for Life NI, Metal for Life Northern Ireland, which is a mental health charity that helps people in Northern Ireland. Now, there is going to be... I was talking to him and Gillian, also of Metal for Life NI, for another podcast, which is coming your way, the Mental Health Special. But in the meantime, I got to ask Gareth what his thoughts were on Slipknot Unsainted. So, Gareth from, what's it? Is Mental Health Northern Ireland? Metal Health?
Metal for Life.
Metal for Life.
Yeah, Metal for Life NI.
Thank you very much. Metal for Life NI. I do apologise. So, this is kind of, this is the first time people will have heard from you. We've just done an interview that's going to appear in a mental health special that I'm putting together. But the pure timing of this call means that you are one of the voices that is going to appear in this month's podcast, which is asking all about what we think to the new Slipknot single. Now, I happen to know, because a little bird told me, i.e. you when we weren't recording, that that you're not exactly a big Slipknot fan, but that's cool. I want to get all angles on this. I want to be people who love Slipknot, but it's let's get a real rounded group of opinions. Let's do something that all other shows don't do. They decide on a narrative and they stick with it. Well, my idea is there is no fucking narrative. It's just people's opinions, and therefore they're all as valid as each other. So you're not a Slipknot fan. You've seen them live a few times. What do you think of the new single?
I think the new single's it's good. There's a lot of impact in it. The kind of the lyrical content, obviously, does kind of, it makes you ask yourself a few questions about what they're sort of talking about and who they're referring to.
Yeah.
I think coming from what the organisation that I'm a member of, I'm always still a little bit, careful about, when people use phrases like, killing yourself or things like that within their lyrics, but obviously there's a huge part of that, that's would be it in the content of so many different metal bands and the songs that they write and things like that. There is that sort of macabre fascination with that kind of thing. But the song itself's good. There's some really good music on it. There's definitely no doubt about Slipknot and how good they are as performers and musicians and stuff like that. So it's definitely something I'll probably have a look at again. So it would as far as the single goes, it would probably get a wee thumbs up from me.
Well, that's interesting, and I'm pleased that you've said that about lyrics. I mean, I've always considered myself a writer who can sing, not a singer who can write. So lyrics are something that I gravitate towards straight away, and I really like Corey Taylor as a lyric writer. He's one of the few lyric writers out there that I've got a lot of time for. And funnily enough, when we finish this chat, I'll have a quick conversation with you about my band's upcoming album. But I'm pleased that for somebody who doesn't call themselves a Slipknot fan, it's something that you'll think you'll be digging out. Would you reckon it would sort of make you interested in what the rest of the album might sound like?
Yeah, I'll definitely have a listen to it. So I would, and give it a chance again. I've seen Slipknot a couple of times, sort of by default almost, because they were playing at a festival I was at, and then the reason I went to see them in the Odyssey a couple of years ago is because I took my niece as a Christmas present
right.
to go and see them. And I actually turned out it was a fantastic show. I mean, the performance was excellent. It really, really was. And I'm always tainted by the fact that when it comes to metal music, there's Iron Maiden and then there's everything else,
Right, okay.
Kind of, that's just the way I am, Maiden till I die sort of thing. But it's, Slipknot, they're clearly a fantastic band, and they obviously command a huge amount of respect in the industry and that, and rightly so. I mean, I do like Corey Taylor. I mean, I always thought it was great that he appeared in QI that time as well. And acquitted himself very well in that, and it was very sort of, you could see, people were you gravitated towards him a bit, and, there was a sort of a fascination about him. And I think he was maybe surprised at the fact that the audience of QI actually had more of an idea about who he was than he thought they would, so that was always good. But, you can definitely tell that when he's writing something that he means it, and that goes a long way.
No, absolutely. No, well, that's really cool, man. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. And let's catch up again soon.
Brilliant. Thanks very much.
And that's Gareth's thoughts on Unsainted. So this is really all about it's all about everybody else. Usually, the Bollocks is all about me, and I go ranting off. But as it is, I'm in every one of these, and you're going to hear my opinions on the song anyway. So let's just keep it going. Let's keep the flow going. So that was Gareth. Now for somebody else that you've never heard from before. Next up, oh, hang on, what order did I do these in? Yeah. Next up is Acid Reign's tour manager, HFB, otherwise known as my best friend of 30 years. I'll let him introduce himself. Here he comes. Can we have your name for the record, please?
My name is Anthony Cheese Palorti.
Oh yeah, nice one. For you Acid Reign fans will get that. Go and look in the thanks lists, you sad twats. Yes, otherwise known lovingly to the rest of Acid Reign and myself as HFB. And for all of you wondering what that stands for, I'm going to leave that hanging. You'll have to guess. It's horrendous fucking bastard, by the way. And
Totally undeserved.
Totally deserved. And a friend of mine for over 30 years. So yeah, who says that I've got no friends?
Yeah. Commiserations on a postcard, thanks.
Yeah. So you and I are both Slipknot fans. We've both seen Slipknot many times, usually together.
Right
apart from that one time that my leg was in plaster and you came round and sold my ticket and kept the money. You bastard.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks for that. So yeah, we've been there since the very beginning, and now you love All Hope Is Gone. I hate it.
I do.
Well, hate's a strong term, but I just can't listen to the songs because the choruses are so cheesy. But yeah, you like it. We both kind of liked the Grey Chapter, didn't we?
Yes, very much so. I'm playing it again. It stands up. It's a great album.
Yeah, I was doing that recently.
It's right up there.
I was doing that recently. Paul, our guitarist, who you know very well.
So. Hi, Paul.
He's really raved about it. Kind of on the quiet, has just mentioned it a few times, and I've paid it more attention. And yeah, it's solid, and I think, like you said, stands up, doesn't it?
Very much so. Yeah, stands up with the best of them. We know, like All Hope Is Gone.
Yeah. We'll always disagree about that, but that's fine. But moving on, the purpose of this call, Unsainted. What are your views?
Very excited about new Slipknot music. You know, just think they've been one of the most innovative and exciting bands the last 20 years, and thoroughly underwhelmed by the latest single, or latest track from the album, to be honest.
It's a bit weird that I just don't understand why they released All Out Life, because that just for most of us that really raised the bar. So when you think the first single of the new album's coming out, you'd expect to be, right up there.
Yeah, I wonder if it was a leftover from the Grey Chapter sessions and nothing to do with the new album. I don't know. But even though that was a cracking song, a real banger, but this one, I've played it again and again and again, trying to, galvanise my thoughts for this discussion, and it doesn't get any better in my view. I have to be honest.
Is it? It's just a bit. I've seen a criticism online from a lot of people saying Slipknot by numbers, and safe Slipknot, and Slip Sour, and Safe Stone, not whatever. Safe Not is Safe Not. Who's the fuck's that?
Yeah. Music is standard Slipknot fame, which is nothing to be, which is fair enough. It's quite a fairly decently paced Slipknot thing. I finally decided that my dislike of it has been distilled down to the child's choir at the beginning. But they set their melody, and that melody is repeated in all the choruses, and I can't listen to any of the choruses without hearing the child's choir. I know it's not there in the recording, it's just because it starts off with the child's choir, which I absolutely hate. Every time I hear that chorus, all I hear is children singing, and to me it just ruins the entire song. Now, I know you say that the choruses on All Hope Is Gone cheesy, but
they haven't got any child's choirs on, which you hate.
No child's choirs.
yeah. So basically,
it's just bizarre. It's not even child's choir in a sort of twisted Slipknot sort of way.
So basically, what you're saying is no child's choir beats child's choir.
It ruins it for me. It absolutely ruins it, and all I hear is that melody is the children's choir. And
look, full disclosure. You mentioned this to me before over WhatsApp, and I spent a good 10 minutes Googling the choir to find out who they are. Because just so I could say, it's not a child's choir, it's an adult choir, you prick.
Is it?
But
Is it? Okay.
I know I couldn't find it, so I don't know. So
I just call it the choir, whatever it is.
Yeah, because I'd love to be able to rip you apart on just that one technicality, but that's that. I just can't do it. So
Sure. No, I did think of that halfway through. Think this could be a female choir or a pro-to male choir. I don't know, but anyway, the choir section at the beginning absolutely ruins it for me. And what is, not a standout song, but a fairly decent song for me is just ruined by that.
That will be. I think people will be very interested to hear that, because that's very you. That is very like, right, no, that's it. It's been ruined. No, look at that song is 55 seconds long. Song's ruined. Get it off.
Yeah. No, that is true. I think my hope is, as I said before, that within the context of an album, yes, I'm old enough to actually still listen to whole albums by bands, that it's a bit of light relief amongst, some really brutal heavy stuff that we all want from Slipknot. None of the songs having child's choir on them.
I think there's people going to be listening to this just thinking, fuck me, I know why him and H have been friends for 30 years. I bet he hasn't got any other friends either.
Mm-mm. And, for the record, I was never part of a child's choir. It's never a historical thing in my past. Never that. I don't feel that a child's choir
you weren't
a choir of any sort is ever based on Slipknot song.
You weren't ever abused. You weren't ever abused by a priest whilst you were a choir boy, then?
No, I was never a choir boy, as you can attest from my voice.
yeah. Don't ever say.
Horrendous.
Yeah.
No.
Just one of the many horrendous things about you. Yes, I agree.
Yes.
So,
and I've gone back and played All Hope Is Gone again and the Grey Chapter again, and that song many times. It's just underwhelming to me, I'm afraid.
Well, I'm still kind of open to. I have to say, I just absolutely love the chorus. As soon as he sang it the first time, usually for me, I need to hear a chorus 2 or 3 times before I can really get to grips with it. But I mean, this was like one bar of that chorus, just the opening hook, and I was like, oh, I like that. And I just fell in love with that chorus. The song as a whole.
How do you relate that to the dislike of choruses on All Hope Is Gone?
Comparison is the thief of joy, dear boy.
Whatever that means.
Yes, yeah. Look it up. My point is, if I have one, that is that I love that chorus immensely, but by the same token, I can still see people saying, it's just standard Slipknot, it's standard, because it's definitely the standard Slipknot arrangement, and it's just it's just fairly sort of standard Slipknot. It's nothing special, it's not great, sounds like Slipknot, not a song you're going to play that many times on the album, probably skip it, and I can see all of that. I just love the chorus, and I also prefer the sound to the sound of the Grey Chapter. I prefer the production on that, because the sound on the Grey Chapter was just something I don't know. There's just still something about it that just doesn't work for me.
I agree with that, and I think if it's standard Slipknot, it would be fine. Like you say, not a standout track. After several listens, you might skip it, fine. But for you, the chorus makes it for you, and for me, the chorus destroys that song for me.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, in which case, how you feel about this song, right, is exactly how I feel about All Hope Is Gone. So maybe now you can understand why I didn't like it, because that's what you're going through now. So that's.
And as to the sound, is it not a little mainstream, a little polished, a bit smooth? Whereas Slipknot, it's raw, it's brutal, it's
but is it
very, very aggressive?
Yeah, but by the same token, that song is not going to be representative of the album. I think it's the standard Slipknot thing. They always release a catchy single before the album comes out. They've released heavier ones. They've released as heavy ones. I'd say Duality is, a comparative track. It's nowhere near as good as that. No, I'm not saying that because I'm not mental, but it's what they do. So maybe this is the duality of the album.
Yeah,
and
the psychosocial, sort of slightly more accessible version. Yeah,
and I think more brutal tunes will sound, more brutal with that production. It's just the song is what it is. So I don't think you can make a middle of the road Slipknot song sound brutal just with cranking the production.
It's a fair point. But let's say, I hope in the context of the album, this is one of the more average and accessible songs, and there's some pretty hardcore stuff on there.
Well, they've definitely got it in their locker. They've definitely got it in the locker because we heard it on All Out Life. So I think if you look at the single in isolation, and we're both sat again. Oh, hopefully there'll be something like heavier on the album. And it's like, well, actually,
and there should be. You're right. Yeah.
Actually, we should say, do you know what? This is an A and a B side, and if you put those two, if put it out as a 7-inch, right, and those two songs were on it, right, and fucking Unsainted was the A side, everybody'd be going, well, that's bollocks, because clearly the best song on it is the B side.
Yeah.
So, it's just those two together, even though one's not on the album, you just kind of think, well, they've clearly not lost the ability to pull out an absolute, corker. So I don't think there's any need to be too downhearted.
No, other than out of all the lead tracks of any Slipknot album's been released, this is the most disappointing to me.
Right. Okay. Well, that's well done. Well done. You have managed to find a negative point.
I was excited about this. Great chapters, great AOV. Probably one of the better Slipknots out there. Absolutely superb banger, and I'm hoping for more.
Well, who knows? The album might be full of AOVs.
Yeah.
You never know, do you? You never know.
No.
Right. Well, I think
August the 9th. Let's see.
August the 9th, indeed. Let's see. Look at that. You professionally bringing the conversation to a close there. Nicely done.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'll have you on again.
We don't.
Yeah. Oh, there's you, the voice of the people.
Save the listeners that torture.
Yeah. All right, will do. Okay, well, look, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for being my friend for 30 years. Here's to another 30.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I look forward to it. I look forward to it very much.
To what? You look forward to what?
30 years of friendship with you.
Oh, bloody hell, right. Okay, sorry, I thought you'd completely disregarded me saying that.
No.
Good. All right, well, that would
thanks
make...
for having me on.
Well, we'd both be in our 80s, so that'd be a result.
Oh, God. I'm sitting here banging about this Slipknot's 30-second album lead track.
It's not as good as Duality, is it?
It's not as good as his masterpieces.
Yeah. Or even worse, it's not as good as Unsainted. Shit.
That would be a catastrophe.
Yeah, it's a fucking it's Slipknot unplugged. They've just done the whole album of ballads. Fucking hell. Still got the masks on, but they're just oxygen masks.
I love the choir, but that drummer can bug off.
Yeah. A choir acoustic album.
Absolutely. We look forward to that in 30 years' time.
Yeah, I hope I live to see that. All right, mate. Well, good to speak to you.
Right. And you.
Cheers. Bye. So you can see, you can just imagine what we get up to when we're left alone, jibber-jabbering about metal. I got to tell you, one night, I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but I really struggled to sleep after the first show of a tour. There was one particular tour where, sure enough, it was the first night, and I was struggling sleeping, and I was rooming with Anthony, and then he woke up about 4. So anyway, what we did was we ended up ranking the big 4 and their albums, their first album versus each other, second album versus each other, third album versus, and marking all of them out of 5, and then we created a spreadsheet, the whole thing. Yeah, I know. I know. It's the kind of thing that you do when you're, when you're like not sleeping. But anyway, there's some needless trivia for you. So yes, that was me catching up with my good old friend Anthony, and as you can tell, he doesn't like the children's choir. I'm sure for some of you that might not be a problem. For others, it may be a problem though. Not that it's a problem for this next guy, because this next guy, well, again, why don't I let him introduce himself?
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
that totally sounded like ayo, ayo. What a beautiful musical way to get our conversation going.
Yeah, true.
Perfect. Well, mate, I've got you on here specifically for one reason, but for the record, could you tell everybody listening your name?
What was it now? It's All Drake, and I play in a band called Evile.
Thank you very much. No need for the follow-up question. And now, I did warn you, because we're going to record a full interview for another podcast another time. But I said, I'm also going to ask you about the new Slipknot song, and your reply was, "Oh no." So so now, listeners, you are as like clued up as I was as to what happens next. So whatever happens, I'll be very interested. So I have to ask, why the oh no?
It's shit. No, it's not. I honestly, I haven't listened to it yet. I was being I was being me.
Right. Okay. Right. Well, I'd imagine that you might be one of these people that hated Slipknot and is like, oh no, am I going to have to listen to fucking Slipknot?
No. I've got quite a lot of respect for Slipknot, and I like a lot of their stuff, but some of it it's not my cup of tea. I can appreciate how, kids love it, and the guttural vocals, then the clean vocals for a chorus. It's kind of it's not my thing, but I do appreciate it,
And so, what are your views on the on Unsainted? Were you intrigued enough to play it more than once?
Yeah, well, 1.5 times. I listened to it first time today, and I didn't mind it. I did like it. It was quite like the chorus stuck in my head.
Yes.
It's a lot more interesting than I thought it would be. Even like the intro is quite cool. I can hear that playing live, and everyone getting like, "Oh my god, it's a song." But yeah, I did like it. Yeah.
Cool, man. Cool. Well, that's interesting you say that, because I've just spoken to somebody else, and I was like, hands up. That chorus just had me halfway through the first hook. I think the chorus is incredibly strong.
Yeah, the first time I heard the chorus, I thought, it's a melodic Slipknot chorus, okay. Then the second time he played, I thought, I remember this bit. And then I think the last time, at the end of the song, it was completely stuck in my head. So, they're doing something right.
Yeah, absolutely. No, the chorus absolutely just won me over immediately. I don't know, it's, the criticism is that it's very much Slipknot ABC. It's really nothing new. It's the lead single. It's the one with the really melodic chorus. It's the duality or the devil in eye of this album.
But so what? Like, look at AC/DC. Every single song they've got sounds the same, and they're great. Like, they've got different versions of all their songs, but it's Slipknot sound like Slipknot. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I think, and I was interested to see what you said at the front there as well, because you said you had a lot of respect for them, and I think as people involved in the metal scene, any metal band that can play as extreme kind of music as they do, because occasionally it is quite extreme. and be as big as they are, it's it's great. It's healthy for the scene in general.
I think I've got a lot of time for people who are nice. Basically, I've met Corey a few times, and he was just really nice.
Right.
So it just makes me respect the band a lot more. If you can I swear?
Yeah, of course you fucking can.
If you're a bumhole, if you're an arsehole, I'm less inclined to listen to a band, with the odd exception of Axl Rose.
No, I'd include Axl Rose in it, but that's purely from a musical point of view.
If I ever met Axl Rose and he was nice to me, I'd be like, oh, come on.
Mate, I'm sorry to go off on a tangent, but are you telling me you like Guns N' Roses?
Yes.
Oh, fucking hell. A lot. Oh, there's the clickbait right there. There's the clickbait.
Bye.
Well, I'm stunned. I'm stunned. Up until now, I've really liked you.
You liked me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh dear. Well, each their own. Not in this case, but well, that's you just you like what you like.
Yeah, I think going back to the Slipknot thing as well. I think one of the things I like is guitar-wise, they inject a lot of death metal into their songs. I mean, you could easily some of them riffs could be off like a Deicide album, or
right, yeah,
really brutal riffs. And I know that the vocals sometimes, probably aren't death metal-y, but a lot of the guitar work I like because it's really interesting in terms of like brutal riffs. So it's cool.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think they're a lot heavier than anything else out there of that size. Do you know what I mean? They're probably the biggest extreme. I don't know. Is it extreme metal? It's not extreme, is it?
I'd call it. Well, it's got extreme aspects. I mean, if you take away the riffs and if you put Glenn Benson singing over some of the Slipknot riffs, it wouldn't sound out of place. But I think because it's in the context of a successful band like Slipknot, it doesn't sound as extreme. You don't feel like it's extreme. But it is. It's like the drums that you can't get much more extreme than, like, there's blast beats in that new song.
Yeah, yeah.
But he's singing melodically over it, so you're like, it's not as obvious.
Yeah, and I mean, you make a very good point as well, because basically Slipknot started trending on Twitter when it came out, which is no mean feat for a metal band.
No.
And when you put it into the context of, like you say there, we're talking about a metal band releasing an album, releasing a song with blast beats in it, and it's trending on Twitter. Then
yeah, exactly.
That's quite a fucking achievement in itself.
Yeah, again, if a death metal band brings out an album with blast beats on it, it won't even touch Twitter. Maybe 2 people tweet about it.
Yeah, me and you.
But, I don't have a problem with them. I think they're a good band.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your take on Unsainted. Your entire 1.5 listens.
I'll do the 0.5 in a bit. I'll think of the rest of it.
I'd say there's other people been on here, spent all day listening to it, and they've written notes and everything.
Written notes? Oh God, was I supposed to do
that?
No,
not at all. I'm purely winding you up, mate. Right. Well, look, thank you very much. Don't go anywhere because we're gonna have a chat. But for now, thanks for taking part.
No, thank you.
So we've got Slipknot fans, we've got non-Slipknot fans, we've got people who are not really that bothered about Slipknot on the Slipknot special. I know, it's kind of, I don't know, it's a bit of a contradiction, really, isn't it? But I think it's working out all right. If you wanted to, and again, if you don't care about Slipknot, then I'm sure this is of no interest to you whatsoever. Or maybe it is. I genuinely don't know. All I can do is put these things together, hope somebody finds it entertaining and worth listening to. And if you do, great, and if not, great. It's only a short one. It's a little something just to put in your bank holiday stocking, whatever that is. I don't know. Maybe that's a condom. Maybe that's a nickname for a condom, a bank holiday stocking. I like that. I fucking like, guys, that's it. that has been invented. That is now a thing, right? I need all of you to spread the word. Yeah? Bank holiday stocking. That's another word for a condom. Right, okay. It's suitable that that this madness has got to this madness stage, because it is madness that I have this next guest on, because he is part of the furniture here at Talking Bollocks Towers at HHQ. Yes, it's the man that I did a road trip with from London to Derby last year, just over a year ago actually, to a pilgrimage nay to see the beyond. I've also done a live podcast with him. It is, of course, the one and only Godless.
This one's okay?
Yeah, that's much better.
All right.
Matt, I know exactly how you feel, because if you can't get your shit to work, it's going to annoy the shit out of you all night. So I know how you feel, yeah? And I was going to text you, why don't I try calling you on WhatsApp? And I thought, no, he's trying to make his gear work just the way I would. So, leave him to it.
God damn it.
How you been, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Since we smashed it up at the old Etc. Theatre back in... when was that? January?
I gotta tell you, that was like probably the most fun I've had in... at least since as far back as I can remember. Just the absolute blast to do that. So I appreciate the invite and the idea. That was super cool.
No, mate, it was awesome that we could do it. I mean, as soon as you said you were coming over and you were going to be in my neck of the woods, I just thought, well, this is an ideal opportunity. Look, let's face it, I'm like you. If somebody says anything that's remotely interesting, your first thought is, ooh, I should record that.
Well, you're missing me. I'm coming over again this coming weekend, but I'm coming to run down the hill at the Gloucestershire.
Fucking hell!
Cheese rolling.
Oh, why don't you just stamp all over that place name, you fucking motherfucker?
It's funny because I'm like, oh, geez, after I run down that stupid hill or fall down it, probably more likely, like I'm gonna have to go like right to the airport. And I don't want to like be in like muddy, dirty clothes at the airport. So now and I wouldn't want to put them in a bag or anything. So now I'm thinking probably my best best way to do this is just run down the hill with just a pair of underwear on. I think that's what I'm going to do.
Well, I have to say, what I would recommend would be wearing shit clothes, run down the hill. Take all those clothes off, throw them in a bin, put your other set of clothes on, go to the airport.
Yeah. Now, see, that I hadn't thought of. I'm such a cheap ass. I never had thought about throwing clothes out. I don't know if I could do that with pants.
Well,
the only pants I've got are one.
I like the idea that you are... sorry for all the coughing listeners, but fuck me, I'm dying here for your enjoyment, so fuck you. To me, it amazes me that you're... Excuse me. Dear me, I've been fine all day. You're more prepared to run down a hill in front of everybody in your underwear rather than throw a pair of trousers away.
Yeah. The nudity doesn't bother me so much. Well, I look at it, it's going to bother everybody else a lot more than it's going to bother me.
Oh, I can fucking guarantee that, mate. Absolutely. having seen your perfectly rounded dad bod up close. The good people of Gloucester are going to get more than they bargained for. Gloucestershire. Yeah. It's Gloucestershire, by the way, and it's Gloucestershire.
Is it?
And it's Gloucestershire, and it's the cheese rolling event that you're doing. Why the fuck are you doing this?
Because I'm too chicken shit to get chased by bulls.
So instead of going to Pamplona and doing the running of the bulls, you're going to Gloucestershire and doing the running of the cheese.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my God, your life is a failure. You're right.
Well, it's not really a failure. It really is. It's no. At the end of the day, it's actually fairly interesting. I'd say. It's just I'm always finishing second. Is the way I look at it. It's like behind the Bulls. What do you got? There's the cheese rolling. Third place is the throwing of the tomatoes. Where's that? Valencia or something?
Yeah, that's. Oh God, I'm not sure, but it's fucked up. The pictures you see every year are pretty amazing from there.
Oh, the tomato throwing?
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. Yeah.
But although you can't even do that properly, it's tomato throwing, mate.
It is.
Sorry, go on.
It's amazing that not every city has got something really crazy, stupid like that. You know, every city should have something like that.
Well, they do. They do. I mean, for instance, Knaresborough, where I'm from, one day we have the bed race, and that is where you do up a bed, put wheels on it, and race it round the town and end up in the river.
That sounds great.
Oh, man, honestly.
How many times have you done it?
Dude, look it up. Knaresborough bed race. You ever want to do it, your whole family are welcome. I've got family up there. I can put you up in a house. It's not a million miles from an airport. Seriously, dude. You ever want to do the Knaresborough bed race? Google that. And you'd be more than welcome.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you.
No
that
worries.
That would be great. I'd love to do stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, but now this is where I can get on board with all those TV programs where it's like, you know, people going all over the world doing like weird shit. I really like that, except when it's a fucking celebrity. I'm sick and tired of the roads, hills, pavements, trains, hill walks of Great Britain walked by an actor, a radio personality, a reality TV personality, a retired fucking MP. We've had the lot. And it's just everyone's take on walking around somewhere. But, you know, such is life. I think I might have gone off on a tangent. What a surprise. Dude, I have spoken so far to Ol Rake, the main man, the main guitarist in Evile. I have spoken to my friend of 30 years, Anthony, who you have met. He of our Derby trip.
Yeah.
So you've met him. I've also spoken to the I'm really going. This is going to really annoy me. They're the Mental Health of Northern Ireland for metal, but I've forgotten the name, so I'm going to have to look the name up. So you're a little bit down. You're a little bit down the list. I do apologise.
No, I certainly understand. Like I said earlier, I never expect to finish first.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Except one place, and that would be the bedroom.
Yes, that's true.
I have absolutely got to find out what they are called. Mental Health NI. That was it. So anyway, I had Gareth on from there. I've had Anthony on. I've had Ol Rake on. So it's your turn. You're fourth. What are your opinions? We genuinely haven't spoken about this, have we? I've got no idea which way you're going on this.
Yeah, no. We're talking about the new Slipknot song, right?
We are talking about Unsainted. Yes, the whole point of you being here.
Well, before we get started, like I really, I just heard the news about Clown's daughter. Yes. Passing away, and that's so incredibly sad.
22,
it really is.
22 got her 5 month, clean and sober chip 2 days ago. It's horrible. I just really hope that it was not suicide. I really do.
Yeah, me too. Because my reaction was, the new song isn't that bad.
Right. Okay. So you've changed gear on me there, but that's fine. I can handle that. You've gone from sad death of a 22-year-old to and the new song.
Yeah, it was a bad joke about why she might have committed.
Oh God!
It's all good.
Wow. Okay. Let me just wheel out a phrase that I wheel out to civilians when they try shit like that. tragedy plus time equals
It's been
comedy.
24 hours, hasn't it? 48.
And yet clearly too soon.
By the time, by the time anybody hears this, it's going to be weeks away. But yeah,
true.
no,
that's a fair point. I'm sure there will be lots of people messaging in saying your joke was actually funny. So when I get those messages, I'll forward them to you, and you can make sure that their doctors take the hard things out of their fucking hands.
Time is so relative.
So you genuinely think the song's not bad? Is that your? Are we finishing the phone call there?
Yeah. No. So this is the thing. All right. So it's definitely Wait and Bleed 2.0, and it's the same kind of tempo. It's Slipknot again doing Slipknot. I'm very thankful that they didn't pull out the acoustic guitar this time. I mean, because that's going to happen eventually, and that always pisses everybody off.
Well, you are picking up on something that I picked up on, and I'm in agreement with you. It's the lead single off a new Slipknot album. It's it's Duality. It's The Devil and I. It's Wait and Bleed 2.0. It's that song, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, and they got a formula, and they ain't gonna budge from it. It's nice, so it works, and it's a good song. I think that it's too bad that I don't know what choir or chorus or whether they just got a handful of friends in there or whatnot. But oh my God, the choir sounds terrible. It really should sound better than.
Brilliant. I'm pleased. I've interviewed you in this order because Anthony, who I spoke to yesterday about this, basically said the choir completely ruins the song. Now when he hears the chorus, all he can hear is that fucking choir. So he cannot stand it. And he actually sent me a message today saying, "Thank God we've done that podcast chat. I can stop fucking listening to it now."
Yeah. So see, I like the idea. I like I can totally hear how they would have had that chorus and somebody goes, hey, this would sound really great with a choir. But when that choir shows up and then open their mouths, everybody should just look at each other and go, okay, thanks, appreciate it, and next, just move on. Because they're not in tune. There's definitely no arrangement there. It's just, hey, we found a bunch of people who can kind of sing high pitch. Let's go with it.
Well, I can tell you now, it will be in tune because it will be auto-tuned. It'll be auto-corrected. So it is in tune. Maybe your ears are broken. But one thing that I kind of, I'm neither here nor there with the choir, to be honest. It's a bit too churchy for me, and as somebody who can't even walk in a church, then that does send the hackles. But it does. But it doesn't spoil the song at all for me. I love the chorus. People are sick of hearing that, so I won't dwell on it. But I do think that Anthony pointed out that it's a choir, and it's not even a Slipknot version of a choir. It's not even a bit weird. There's not a different take on it. It's not discordant or any. It's just a fucking choir.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, well done, lads. And what do you want us to do with that?
Yeah, it's like I can't tell if it's prepubescent boys or just a handful of women. But either way, it isn't working.
Well, funnily enough, yes, I had that sort of discussion with Anthony as well, where he was like, "Look, as far as I'm concerned, that is a children's choir, and it just sounds horrendous." I mean, like I said, I don't mind it. I like the production. I think the overall production is a step up from the Grey Chapter.
Yeah, I guess I never really paid too much attention to that side of things. The way I look at it is like, as far as arrangement's concerned, they already know what they're doing. So
yeah, it's the patented Slipknot single arrangement. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And as far as like the rest of the production, I don't know. It just all sort of sounds the same for the most part to me. But I don't have those kind of refined ears for that sort of stuff.
I'll tell you what I'd love to do. I would love to get the lead singles from the last few Slipknot albums. That's Devil and I and Unsainted and Wait and Bleed. Not that that was the lead single, but just get them all together and basically just turn them into one song and just like have a verse from one, a chorus from another. Do you know what I mean? Just basically a mashup of those songs, but just take a section from each to make it that song, and basically just to prove that there you go. You see, you can cut and shut it. You can cut and paste these songs into like any order you want. It's the same framework.
I'd love to. Yeah, I think it'd be so interesting. Is like throw the waveforms, one on top of the other, and see if they all kind of line up. Because I bet you they kind of do. Do you think that that's on purpose? Or do you think that it's like, they're 20 odd years in, so it just is ingrained at this point?
I do know some people who write do get a certain arrangement that they like. For instance, I know somebody who likes to do verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, chorus, middle eight, chorus, end. And that is a fairly standard arrangement for them. They're not married to it, but they'll go outside of it. They'll move around it, but that's a fairly standard arrangement. And I think basically after years and years, I think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I think the first time they found this arrangement was thanks to Rick Rubin. As always, it was Duality on the Verses album. The Satanic Verses. I think, Duality was really where this version of Slipknot started, where Unsainted, that song, pre-working with Rick Rubin, they would never have done anything like that. But, that Duality is that arrangement. It's the arrangement that Slipknot have gone, hey, do you know what? If you want like a 4.5 minute banger on an album that's kind of openly commercial and going to be the single, here's the arrangement for it.
Yeah. Huh. That's interesting. What's interesting, too, that you bring up that idea that there's like these two phases of Slipknot. Do you think there's two? Just two?
No, not at all. I think there's there's Slipknot, which is the first album and the second album. Then there is the middle albums from Satanic Verses. Now, what came after the Satanic Verses? Was it All Hope Is Gone?
Jeez, I have no idea.
I know, it's a fucking headfuck, isn't it? I'm actually looking at the CDs. I'm actually looking at the CDs from here. So let's not do our brains in too much. Hang on a second. Right, it is. Yeah, I think so. I think it's All Hope Is Gone because I haven't got it here.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Oh no, I have got it. God, yeah. I've got the double CD. Anybody who fucking wants it, let me know. So yeah, then it would be Jesus, right? Okay. So after All Hope Is Gone, it's the Grey Chapter. Is that right? Isn't there about 10?
Yeah, that's right.
Isn't there about 10 years between those albums? Have we missed something?
Well, there's 6 years between All Hope Is Gone and the Great Chapter, and then 5 years since Great Chapter to We Are Not Your Kind.
You're joking? Is it 5 years?
Yeah, because it's October 2014 is Great Chapter. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page here.
Really? You're fucking joking?
No.
Jesus Christ, I still think of that as like the new album, as in like, oh, I really should play that a bit more since I got it. Fucking hell, what's wrong with me?
Well, this is the thing. I was talking to somebody the other day. They were asking about, like, all right, we were talking about this whole new idea with the internet and whether it makes more sense to just put out songs rather than put out albums, and which I think is a real interesting thing when you think about it, because I was thinking about how, like, my freshman year of high school, between that and my senior year of high school, like, all my favorite bands put out 2 albums at least, if not 3. And so, like, they are my whole high school experience. But there are kids, not that there's a ton of kids listening to Slipknot, mind you, but kids who, like, a Slipknot album came out before they were in high school, and the next one didn't come out until after they were done. And so therefore Slipknot is not a part of that experience at all. And those few years are like kind of vital, you know. They're those years where, you know, most of, at least in my head, most of the songs that like I totally stuck with me, and you know, when I hear them, it takes me back to a certain place in time. It's during that time of my life, you know, that it's ages 15 to 18, 19, you know, around there. And man, to think that like with bands putting out albums 5, 6, 7 years apart from each other, and so many artists are doing it, geez, you're missing out on all that. Why not just put out songs every once in a while instead?
Well, firstly, it's not a one-size-fits-all problem. So, for instance, Slipknot, who put out, before Unsainted, All Out Life, which, again, is an awesome, totally heavy track, so I have every faith in what's coming up in the new album. If you're Slipknot, you can do that. If you're Acid Reign, you can't. And I think there is no... I don't think any longer there is this whole music business, oh, do this, do that, oh, put songs out, no, put albums out. I think, do you know what? Do what's right for you. Figure out what's right for you. Figure out what's right for your audience and do that. There is no...
Well, see that...
You know, I don't think there is any... I don't think there is any, you know, grand plan or anything anymore. You have to figure out what's best for your market, and then you have to go that way.
Yeah, see, I would say that you got to do what's best for your audience first, and what's best for you second. But you know, I hear you.
Well, but that way your career ends up shorter. Because
you think so?
Yes, you do, because you become thoroughly pissed off with what you're doing, and it becomes a job. You become pissed off with what you're doing. It becomes a job. You just punch in a clock, and then you start shitting on your own legacy and putting stuff out that you really shouldn't. And that's the end of that. That's why it works that way round. That's why art is not commerce. So in commerce, yeah, give the people what they want. In art, they shall have what I goddamn give them.
So I guess the best situation is when they align.
Is when what, sorry?
When it aligns. When the audience and what they need aligns with what the artist can give.
And what the artist needs. So ideally, you know, ideally they come together, but that will only come together in very small pockets because not everybody wants the same thing at the same time. And the experience you're talking about of that kid in high school, well, that's just the way the world's changed, you know, and instead, in those intervening years, you know, he's got favourite games that you know, he plays favourite games that remind him of certain times of his life. And, you know, that's just the ever-changing shape of our pop culture, I'm afraid.
I just I get so worried about like bands that take so long between albums, because it always feels to me like, geez, an entire generation has gone by and have missed out, you know, on the excitement of a new release. And that, to me, is just a shame for a long term, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, the genie's out of the bottle, isn't it? I mean, that is just the way things are. You know, like for instance, you know, some bands are putting out an album out every 2 years. Look at Overkill; it's never changed. Album every 2 years. Album every 2 years. So that description that you know, that this poor fictional kid we're talking about. Well, if he's into Overkill, he's been fine, not a problem. So you know, it's not everybody. It's just some people, and it's a real exclusive experience to you, and I can appreciate that it had a big effect on you, and therefore, you would like, you know, other kids and your kid to have that experience, but, you know, ultimately, that's, you know, it's not possible, is it? We are all different.
I guess I'd be more like, more into giving, say, Slipknot the benefit of the doubt if Corey wasn't doing Slipknot light in between most of the Slipknot albums with his Stone Sour thing, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Stone fucking shit, they should be called. Just piss weak American radio rock. Absolute middle of the road bullshit.
Well, but it's so interesting the way that it's like it is, but it sounds like Slipknot if you cut the balls off. It's like the Euron Greyjoy of rock and roll.
Check him out with his Game of Thrones fucking name drops in there. Check you out. You were the cool dad.
Speaking of like, the time, nobody gives a shit about that show anymore. Boy, that happens.
Stop. Stop. Do not mention anything else. As soon as I hang up, I'm watching the last ever episode. You say anything...
I haven't seen it either.
Right.
Haven't seen it either.
Right, okay.
We're good.
Well, no. I mean, what makes me laugh is all of the feminist propaganda that is now being shoved upon us all, pointing out the fact that these two women are powerful figures and isn't this great? And it's like, well, it's been that way for about the last fucking 8 years on this program. How come you just get into the fucking party now? It's just.
Well,
You know what I mean.
Can we go back to Stone Sour for a second?
Of course. Let's go back to Stone Sour.
So like, I got to be honest with you. I never listened to Stone Sour, ever.
Okay, all right. I've got to be honest with you. Same here.
Yeah. So recently, I'm like, all right, let's check this out. And when I listen to it, I think to myself, okay, this is Corey trying to let the other dudes in Slipknot know how easily replaceable they all are. because it's like he's got the same song structures, the same general vibe. Half the songs sound like if you got the drums to do what they need to do, and they actually changed up the way that the guitars sound, and just added oomph to it. It would be Slipknot. It just would. At least their lighter shit.
Yeah, or maybe Jim Root was confident enough to walk away from Stone Sour because that's not the case. And actually, what Stone Sour is a reminder to Corey that without the rest of Slipknot, he's just a fucking Motley Crue B-side.
But the dude sold a ton of records. You can't say that.
Look, quite simply, if he's not fucking Papa Emeritus or Papa John's or whatever his fucking name is from Ghost, he's Corey Taylor. And if he wanted to get rid of them all, he would have done. And before anyone says, yes, Paul Gray's gone, I don't think that had anything to do with Corey. And now Chris Fenn's gone. And obviously Joey Jordансon's gone. But they all went kind of their own accord, or kind of had to. So I don't buy it as that it's being used as a stick to beat the rest of the band with. No, I just think it is. I just think it is the way it is. I genuinely think Corey's a bit of a hard rock fan, and he likes to get his hard rocks off. Oh, check that shit out.
But you don't think that it was his way to kind of let everybody know, okay, this is what lighter Slipknot would sound like, audience.
No.
So that when he does lighten shit up in Slipknot, it's like he's already paved the way, and people go, yeah, well, yeah,
No, I think the reason he does it is because he really likes hard rock and he wants to do that, and it gives him a chance to do a bit more singing and play around with melodies and a part of his voice that he doesn't get to use in Slipknot. And also the fact that what he's doing is fucking hard work, new albums, writing new songs, touring them, all the rest of it. You don't do that purely as a preparation for something else or to send a message anywhere. You do it because you absolutely love it, because if you don't, it's a grind from gig 2, and that's the end of it. And there would have been one Stone Sour album, and there would have been one tour. Given the fact he's still doing it, then he loves it. I hate it and think it's bullshit, but he loves it, and do you know what I mean? That's up to him.
I just always look at Mike Patton, and whenever he did something different, it was totally different,
Yes, but to use a Godless phrase, Mike Patton's got fuck you money. So,
yes.
he doesn't
Well,
give a
so does Corey
shit.
Taylor.
Yeah, well, even more of a reason for him to not do this fucking soulless Motley Crue bullshit bar band wank, but he does. So he must be enjoying himself, and I know. Funnily enough, parents, kids who like Stone Sour. I don't know any parents who like Stone Sour, but I know some parents' kids who do.
Oh, jeez. Huh.
And a few Slipknot, a few
it.
Slipknot fans as well who are like, yeah, do you know what I mean? I like some of that kind of stuff in my lighter moments, and they dig it.
I mean, yeah, because like I was saying earlier, Slipknot's got its lighter stuff. He's pulled an acoustic guitar out for a Slipknot song every once in a while, and it's like, geez, what the hell, dude? Because going back to the idea of the phases of Slipknot, like for me, it was like those first two albums, and then I heard the third album, whatever it was, and kind of went, yeah, okay, I think I'm checking out for a while, and I just checked out.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. This, Satanic Verses, thought it was fucking awesome.
Yeah, but man, like that first album, that first debut album, was just so far out of left field of what anybody was doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funnily enough, somebody on the Talking Bollocks Facebook page, and I am going to name and shame now because I'm actually looking the comment up because it's just pure fucking bullshit. And I do apologise, mate, but you fucking wrote it. So now I'm going to take the piss, right? The comment was, here we go. Come on, guys, let's face it. Slipknot have always been a manufactured band. It's not about the members, it's about the music. I mean, my response was don't agree. 9 guys in boiler suits making a right fucking noise was not a recipe for commercial success in 1999. About as manufactured as Motorhead.
Yeah, and coming from Des Moines, Iowa, you realize there's jack shit in Des Moines, Iowa. There's a bunch of English professors. I don't even know who they teach because I think they're all English professors.
By the way, that was Chris Westwood. So thanks for your honesty, Chris. I mean, you're getting hammered, but you're getting mentioned as well. So hopefully that makes up for the other.
There's no way that you could listen to anything that came out before 1999 and go, yeah, that sounds like Slipknot.
Yeah.
There's nothing. And it's so gratifying that 20 years on, they are one of the kings of the scene. That's just so gratifying to have seen. Whether you like the music or not, the fact is that they were freaking original at a time when metal wasn't sure what it was going to do at that point. It was all like everybody was going to Limp Bizkit and all that shit. And so, Slipknot go on tour with Limp Bizkit, making fun of them the whole time. And, they were the ones that won. And that is just so awesome.
Well, I think if you there's no way you listen to that first album. There's no way if somebody's put it this way, you want to hear manufactured metal with a lot of people in the band. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Baby Metal. Well done. It's even made in Japan. Hand over your money, you daft bastards.
Your song's pretty good.
But that is no, it isn't. Remind me what it's called again.
I have no idea.
You were just winding me up, weren't you? I can't remember what it's called, but it is shit. I have heard it, and even one of them's left. I don't know. She's got her periods now or something. I don't know. She's too old for the band. So where were we? Just this idea that anything that as heavy as that first album could be manufactured is just wide of the mark, because ultimately nobody who's looking to manufacture a band and make them, get them to break platinum is going to dress them up in boiler suits, make sure they all wear masks, and then make sure that they make an absolute fucking racket, the like of which none of us have heard before.
Yeah. Yep.
They're
still doing.
Sorry, go on.
Well, they might be taking huge breaks in between. The idea that they've only got 6 albums in 20 years is pretty phenomenal. That they couldn't be more productive in that time. But Jesus, how great is it? I mean, you think of who is who are the bands that like really are head and shoulders above anybody else 20 years on and able to play maybe not quite arenas, but they got to be getting there. Definitely too big for a theater unless it's especially huge.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
That you're talking about Slipknot. I don't think Lamb of God is even there at this point.
Oh, absolutely, and they won't be getting there because they're shit. But I'll tell you what, Slipknot, for me, this is what sums it up. Last time they were in London, they played Earl's Court, which is a big old fucking place, right? Sorry, not Earl's Court. What am I talking about? That's been knocked down. They played Ali Pali, Alexandra Palace, right? And that's a big old venue. And they sold it out on a motherfucking Tuesday, y'all.
Yeah.
That is power. That is fucking power right there. I mean, there's no way anyone else is, certainly in the metal scene, on that, anywhere under that level. You're not even getting close. Bands don't even fucking play London on a Tuesday because they're fucking shit scared no one's going to turn up. So that just summed it up for me, and it was amazing because they had buses running from the tube stations to ferry people, and the buses. All of them had, when you look up and you see the destination, and the buses just had as the destination, they just had Slipknot. So there's all these buses driving around with Slipknot written on them. I just thought it was really fucking cool.
It's probably one for each band member.
Yes, and their ego, no doubt, double decker.
Well, I've always hoped that Gojira would get close to that kind of level, but they haven't. They just haven't, they've
give them
got
time.
great,
Give them
they've
time.
got big. Well, they might keep on saying that, but they've been around for 20 years as well now.
True, and they don't put albums out very often. But I don't know. I think that's the world we live in now. I think you've got to wait a few years to get an album, and to be honest, good. I mean, and I know what I just said about Overkill. I'm not including them in this, but. There's a few bands out there who are shitting out albums every 2 or 3 years, and shitting out albums is the right phrase. I mean, one band who I'm not going to name at the moment, but I've been trying to listen to their new album today, and it is just fucking toilet. And they're a band I like, and they've been back for a good few years now. I'm giving some clues now, aren't I? People are going to be trying to guess who it is. They're not British, there you go, so fuck off. I'm not mentioning any of my peers in this country. But I'll tell you who it is off air. But I just think, only the very special bands like Overkill can pull off an album every 2 years and it's actually fucking good and you want to buy it and you want, that's incredible to me. I think they really are just a level above a lot of other bands in how fucking organised they are and what they do, and the quality of it.
Well, the respect to Overkill, because they were playing to 15 people in a bowling alley, and then they're on MTV and Hello from the Gutter, and all of a sudden they're playing theaters and packing them, and then 3-4 years later they're back to playing bowling alleys for 15 people again.
Yeah,
and they still kept on putting out music, still kept on hitting the road. They didn't care, or they cared, but they were like, you know what, this is just what we do, so this is what we're going to keep doing. And they believed in it. And all respect in the world, there's almost nobody else like that.
Absolutely. And they kept on coming over here, and a couple of times they were playing the Camden Underworld, which is, where we'd play, whereas the last few, quite a lot of the last few times have been playing a lot bigger venues. But Bobby's such a cool guy, man. I mean, I was talking to him off air last time and just saying, because it was really cool. He emailed people at his label saying, you need to check these guys' album out. I think they should be on the label. And Danny Filth did the same as well, which was very cool to have two people like that.
Very nice.
Both hitting up Nuclear Blast and saying, you should be releasing this. And I said to Bobby, well, it went through to the right guy, and I was like, yeah, do you know what? He doesn't like us. He never has. He worked at Music for Nations years ago and turned us down before we got signed there, which is fair enough because the demo was shit. And I was like, but yeah, it just doesn't like us. There's not a lot we can do about that. And do you know what he did? He just turned around and said, you know what? Megaforce hated us. The only reason they signed us was because eventually we were just selling so many demos, they'd be stupid not to.
Yeah.
And I just thought, what a really cool guy. What a great, what a really cool story. But all these years he remembers that shit, and he's got an incredible memory for bands and gigs and shit like that and albums. And this is turning into the Overkill Worship podcast, and it was supposed to be what we think of the new Slipknot song.
Now, did the lyrics bother you?
Lyrics? What about them?
What say again?
What do you mean? Did the lyrics of the song Unsainted bother me?
Yeah.
Not really. No. Why?
Well, I don't know. It just seems like it's. I know you talk to the mental health people. I've already made fun of somebody who might have, committed suicide and
right.
All that. But the lyrics to me were just sort of ham-handed, anti-suicide stuff, which is okay, but it's like, man, aren't we done with that yet? Can we move on?
I know what you mean. I know we can't move on because I'm doing a mental health special, and that's why I interviewed them. But and at least you haven't got kids. Oh no, you have. What a lucky boy. Well, at least he's got me to talk to, if nothing else. Look, funnily enough, one of the mental health guys did mention the lyrics, and weren't overly impressed. And I don't know. I just kind of think, personally, and I can only say personally, I would not write an anti-suicide song because I think A, it's pointless, and B, it's just a bit worthy. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm anti-suicide. Who the fuck isn't? Come on. It's like Mothers Against Child Murderers. There is no group called Mothers for Child Murderers. Your group is not needed. And I just think that it's kind of like, rather than singing anti-suicide songs, I think anti-suicide songs are songs like Yankee Rose by Dave Lee Roth off his first solo album. Do you know what I mean? A song that you hear that just makes you want to fucking live, that just makes you want to run down to the beach and dive in. Do you know what I mean? It's in a good way.
Either that or and there's a band that I've been listening to a lot lately, and they're called Alive in Barcelona, and they've got this really like their new album is just like a handful of songs that kind of talk about this stuff, and they're on this tip. But to me, it sounds like they're writing from they dealt with it, or might even still be going through it, and it's like really critical to who they are as songwriters, and it's really critical to the experience and the stories that they're telling in the songs. And then when I read what Corey's written, and I go, this is a guy just talking about wanting people not to do this, and it's total difference. It's coming from the heart, or it's coming from his Twitter feed.
I wouldn't question the man's sincerity. I mean, I'll always slag anybody off, but I won't claim to know their motives. And if he's written that, I'd like to think that he's written that for a reason. Now, whether he's written that because he's been affected by suicide, and I'm sure he has within his own personal life, I'm sure that has, or whether it's or whether he just feels now is the right time to write that song for something that happened years ago. But I would take a wild guess at there being a very good reason for him doing it. Now, the fact that you don't like the way he's done it, absolutely, that's my wheelhouse, giving somebody a kicking for something they've done. But I'm not gonna kick them for their motives if I don't know what their motives are.
Just no, but I'm not saying anything other than just make it feel more genuine. It doesn't feel genuine.
And to be honest, Corey Taylor is one of my favourite lyricists. I do like his lyrics, and I I really paid a cursory glance at the lyrics to this, and I kind of just went sort of like, oh, right, okay. Because I think that when he gets it right and on his day, he is, for me, probably the best lyricist in metal right now, when he's absolutely at the top of his game.
Can you explain that? Was it 30/30 minus 15 or 24 or something? There's some Stone Sour song, and it's got like a bunch of numbers. I have no idea what the hell he's singing about.
Well, I'm talking Slipknot lyrics here. I can't speak.
All right.
I can't speak for Stone Sour, right? So, but you have made a very good point, and he might have dragged his average down so hard with Stone Sour that I now just need to take him off my list of favourite lyricists. Thank you for ruining that for me.
But the truth of the matter is, at the end of the day, with this Slipknot song, is that it's head and shoulders above almost 90% of what's come out this year, maybe more, right?
Yeah.
It's that we're measuring it up against their past catalog, and their past catalog, it's like another song. It'll probably be in their set list forever, maybe at least 3 nights out of 5 type of thing.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a song. Is it going to be the song that they're going to end on? Is it going to be the song everybody's at the edge of their seat hoping they play? Is it going to be the song when the chorus starts to croak out that chorus, the choir starts to croak out that chorus in the beginning, like everybody jumps up and goes, "Oh, can't wait to have heard this."
It's no duality. It's no psychosocial. It's not at that level for me. It's not at that level. It's not even at the level of Devil and I from the Grey Chapter. But like I said, All Out Life is a cracking track. I think that can be, it's important we don't forget about that, because they're clearly in a space where they can make a right old fucking racket just like they've always been able to. But one thing I have to say is this guy's drumming needs to really blow me away on this album. I'm prepared to. I mean, he's decent. It's a decent Joey impression on the last album. I mean, it's not. He's a lot less clicky on his bass drums, which is great. And he kind of made it his own for me. But I'm just a few more years to mature in the drum stool. I'm awaiting to be blown away. I don't think he does anything particularly special on Unsainted. He kind of does what I'd expect a typical Slipknot drummer to do on it, but I'm rooting for him. I'm in his camp. Do you know what I mean? I'm not like, oh, fuck this dude, get somebody else in at all. But I'll be interested to see if he kind of is able to break out on sort of some more album tracks and show us what he's got, man.
Yeah, I hear you.
Cool.
No, but I'm glad. I'm happy for new Slipknot. I'm happy for them. I think that it's a song they can be proud of, and we can give them hell about it not being better. But that's always because the bar has already been set so incredibly high. All those songs that you talked about, any other band would be more than happy to call it a career once they've had half of that catalog. And so, it's good on them. The single from the last album, was it Me, Myself, and I, or whatever?
The Devil and I.
Devil and I, yeah. It's, a good enough song. I think this one's just pretty much about the same, and that's fine. Devil and I was a good song off of a really good album. So I think we should all be optimistic about what's coming in just a few weeks from Slipknot.
And I think that just brings our conversation to a close beautifully. Nicely done, mate. Well, look, thank you very much for coming on. Don't go away because I need to speak to you. But for now, Godless, always a pleasure, never a chore. Thank you very much for coming on.
My pleasure. Thanks, Howard.
Okay, so a couple of things, a couple of bits of housekeeping. Firstly, the way that interview started, I had chopped about 5 minutes off the front. We had absolute fucking technology nightmare, and eventually we got it to work. But yeah, it wasn't through his studio with his nice rich voice as normal. So yeah, that annoyed him, annoyed me. Also at the end there, where I said a certain thrash band established, blah blah blah, who I like, new album out, blah, and I said I talked to him off air, and I just went, right, that band, and he went, I know who it is, and I said, who is it? And he said the band's name. I was like, fuck yeah, dude. And we both then went on to absolutely hammer this band, whose new album is just fucking terrible. But there you go. If you'd like to know who that is, ask me when you see me. I'm not likely to. Or become a patron. Become a patron at patreon.com/Howard H. Smith. And you can ask guests any questions you like. That's one of the features you get. You get your own podcast every month. You get all Acid Reign behind the scenes. You get to ask your questions to podcast guests. You get loads of content. It's $5 a month. It's cheap as chips. And yeah, come along. Come along. And anybody who signs up gets all the Acid Reign stuff and all of the Talking Bollocks stuff. You get video stuff behind the scenes. You get all sorts of bits and pieces. It's worth it. $5 a month. Come on. It's less than you spend on coffee in a week. Okay, and that's the truth, Ruth. Or if it is, it's coffee or tea and definitely beer. That's more than you spend on beer in a day. Let's be honest, okay? And if you're teetotal and you don't drink, well, teetotal and you don't drink tea or coffee, so you don't drink alcohol either, then it's as much as you spend on bottled water in a fucking week. So, come on over, join the party. It helps me keep advertising out of the Bollocks, whatever this is. And I want to keep advertising out of it. Not that I'm going to get advertising. The amount of time I say cunt on a fucking cunting podcast, you're fucking cunting joking, aren't you? No cunting way I'm going to get cunting advertising when I'm fucking swearing like a fucking cunting trooper. Not a chance. So anyway, that's the end of the Patreon advert. That is the end of the Bollocast. I'd love to play Slipknot on the way out, but can't do it because it's a podcast, and podcasts are basically forbidden from using music unless a few seconds, and I don't see the point in using a few seconds because it's just bollocks. So if you haven't already listened to, okay, bank holiday weekend. Remember, a bank holiday. What was it? That was the condom? Bank holiday fucking... Oh, I'm going to have to go back and find it now. Oh. Anyway, yeah. Oh, what was it? No, can't remember. Whatever it was, it's your... that's... And by the way, folks, if you're thinking this guy's fucking mental, I'm not, really. But that's my ADHD. Can't retire. I've got good long-term memory. I've got good short-term memory. But immediate memory, it's fucking terrible. And if you find it frustrating and you were shouting there going, it's fucking blow, then just think how frustrating it is for me. Roll on the medication. Surely it can't be long now. Anyway, guys, whenever you're listening to this, have a great bank holiday weekend, whenever that is, whenever it's coming. If this comes out after the bank holiday weekend, then I apologise. I'm just a massive cunt, but that's not anything that you didn't already know. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll be back with the main Bollocast before the end of the month. So, speak to you soon, guys. Take care. Always a pleasure, never a chore. Goodbye. Off you go. It's over. Go on, do one. Go and get your bank holiday. Go and get your bank holiday bloody condom ready. What? I wish I could remember what it was. I really do. Ah, dear. Never mind. I'll listen back to the the podcast and find out eventually, I guess. Unless one of you's going to let me know. Bank holiday stocking. Yes, that's it. As you can tell by the slight change in volume there, bank holiday stocking is a condom. There we go. I went back. I listened to the rest of the podcast. I listened to that section again because it was just annoying me so much. And, I didn't want to leave you on an annoying note. So that makes a change, doesn't it? Anyway, wherever you are, it's been a pleasure being in your ears. Speak to you next time.